Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Keran Nelson Paneedo, General Manager at Blue Qubit Consulting, and I'm pleased to welcome you to week 3 of our Executive Intelligence webinar series. Over the past 2 weeks, we've explored what productivity truly looks like and uncovered the hidden operational cost quietly affecting organization. Today, we are focusing on the next challenge: how leaders turn workforce data into better decisions. Most executives already receive large amounts of information. They have financial reports, operational dashboards, project updates, HR metrics, customer reports, and technology reports. Sounds like a lot, right? Yet, many still struggle to answer simple questions with confidence. Where is productivity improving? Which teams need support? Is workload properly balanced? Are employees able to focus? Are technology investments actually delivering value? Today, we'll explore what an effective executive productivity dashboard should reveal, what leaders should be measuring, and how our productivity management solution can provide the visibility needed to improve performance, reduce operational waste, and make faster, more informed decisions. Joining me today is Afnan Salah, who will demonstrate how the solution turns daily work patterns into practical executive intelligence. We encourage you to participate throughout the session by answering your thoughts in we encourage you to participate throughout the session by sharing your thoughts in the chat. Let's begin. Organizations have never had more data, but more data has not always created more clarity. A company may invest in multiple systems to track projects, employees, customers, finance, and communication. Each platform produces reports, but those reports are often disconnected. For example, HR may see overtime increasing operations may lead to deadline slipping. And, oh, I'm sorry, someone cut that. For example, HR may see overtime increasing, operations may see deadline slipping, and the IT may see low adaptation of new platforms. Each department sees a piece of the problem, but leadership may not see how these issues are connected. This creates the executive paradox: more reports, but less confidence about what is actually happening. The issue is not a shortage of information, the issue is fragmented visibility. An effective productivity dashboard should help leaders to see patterns across people, workload, technology, and performance so they can understand what requires attention and why. Many organizations describe themselves as data driven, but important decisions are still often made using incomplete information. A manager may request additional staff because the team appears overloaded. However, the real issue may be poorly distributed work, unnecessary meetings, and or a process that requires employees to repeat the same steps. A department may appear unproductive because project delivery is slow. However, the cause may be a delayed approvals, unclear ownership, or employees spending too much time searching for information. Leadership experience and intuition remain important, but those decisions become stronger when supported by objective evidence. Our productivity management solution helps leaders to replace assumptions with visibility. It allows them to understand whether the challenge is performance, capacity, workflow, design, focus, or technology adaptation before deciding what action to take. So, Are you tracking the right things? Many executive reports focus on what is easiest to count: hours online, meetings attended, emails sent, or tasks completed. These figures may slow activity, but they do not always support or show business value. An employee may be online for 10 hours and still make limited progress because the day was fragmented by meetings, messages, and repeated follow ups. Another employee may complete fewer tasks but finish the work which directly affects revenue, customer satisfaction, and project delivery. This is why leaders must distinguish between activity metrics and performance indicators. Hours online tell us that an employee was available. Focus time tells us whether they had the opportunity to complete meaningful work. Meeting volume tells us that collaboration occurred. It does not tell us whether those meetings produce decisions, ownership, or progress. The quality of executive dashboards depend heavily on the quality of measures being reviewed. So in the chat, which metric gives leadership the greatest insight to performance? Is it hours online, meeting volume, focus time, or workload distribution? Let me know. I give you a minute to go ahead and check. I'm seeing someone says workload distribution. Hmm. All right, that's a really good insight. Well, let's see as we go along. We're gonna jump into our demo session where Afnan will show how leaders can move from isolated activity reports to a high-level view of organizational performance. As she walks through the dashboard, notice how the solution highlights productivity patterns, productive and unproductive time, team comparisons, and changes over time. The purpose is not to inspect every employee's action. It is to help leaders quickly identify where performance is improving, where there's a decline, or whether investigation may be needed. Go ahead, Afnan, take it over.
All right, thank you. Welcome, everyone. So now let's jump into Active Track. All right. So here we are. So now we are looking at the organization and site dashboard. This dashboard designed specifically for executive leadership. As a CEO, your responsibility isn't to monitor individual employees. Your role is to understand whether the organization is operating efficiently, whether your teams are aligned with business objectives, and whether your workforce can sustain growth. So this dashboard provides that executive perspective, and instead of focusing on daily activities, it answers a much more important question. Is our organization becoming more productive, healthier, and better prepared to achieve its strategic goals? So let's see how we can find out the answer. So here we can notice that this dashboard focusing on doing a comparison between a previous and activity period. Then we have here 3 sections. So first section, it's talking about productivity goal achievements. It's going to show you the highest teams and the goal they are met during this period, comparison with this activities and previous. The same with lowest teams as well, and how much goal they are by percentage. Then if we look at the next beside, we can see what teams have met the biggest jump in productivity. It's going to show you the biggest increase and the biggest decline. So here we can see the name of the teams, and also these colors will reflect this month and the previous month. And if we click on the change, here we can see the changing in each of these for each teams. And then here we can see the biggest decline, where they have a decline related to the productivity for this activity period comparison with the previous period. It's monthly, weekly, whatever you would like to check. And the same, if you click on the change here, we can see the change happened in terms of productivity. And then if we scroll down, it will cover about the team utilization. It's going to show you any teams that has any burnout risk or something, which is called overutilized teams, and underutilized teams as well. And it's going to show you by percentage how much the overutilized and underutilized for each teams. And then we can look beside to healthy, biggest jump in healthy by percentage for the days. Here we can see if we don't have a result, means there is no biggest increase in healthy. And if we look here, we can see there are specific also colors for this month and previous month, and the same for change. So here we can notice how many changing in the healthier way of work. Anyone need assist? Anyone need help? Is there a balance or not? All of that can just know it on one look. And if we scroll down here, we can also look at the average of productivity by hours per day. And there is also, will show you the productive by location based on which kind of work you are have in your companies. The same for utilization level. Here can you figure out how many by percentage the utilization, overutilized, healthy, underutilized. It's going to show you also how many employees are need assist because they have any overutilized cases or underutilized. If we look here, we can also see all the team members we definitely look for. And then here we can see the productive goal achieves. If it's achieved, it's going to be look like yes or no. If they are not achieving the goal, it's like a really quick information for CEO. They don't have that much time, so they can know about every single team in a while. Like team workload, it's going to show you if it's high, optimal, or low. Also here we can show us the productive hour per day and the goals. The same for overutilized, healthy, and underutilized. See here we can notice that the organization insights combines productivity, utilization, work patterns, and team performance into a single executive view, allowing leaders to evaluate organizational performance without relying on assumptions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Afnan. What this demonstration shows is the difference between receiving data and understanding what data means. Instead of relying on statements such as everyone seems busy or the team appears productive, leaders can review objective patterns. You mentioned somewhere around what declined while in total hours, what remained high, and the attendance as well. So that definitely gives the insight leaders need to make a decision on what's happening on a day-to-day basis. That is the value added for executive visibility. So let's move on. The purpose of an executive dashboard is not to create another report. Its purpose is to improve decisions. Good governance means knowing what is happening, why it's happening, and what actions should follow. Imagine entering a leadership meeting already knowing that one department has additional capacity, another is consistently overloaded, focus time is declining, and the adaptation of newly purchased tools remain low. The conversation immediately changes. Instead of spending the meeting debating whether a problem exists, leadership can focus on what should be done. That may involve rebalancing assignments, reducing unnecessary meetings, improving training, simplifying a workflow, or reconsidering technology investments. Reports explain what happened. Effective dashboards help leaders to influence what happens next. Traditional reporting often looks backward. Yes. It tells us what happened last week, last month, or last quarter. Decision intelligence helps leaders understand what action is required now. For example, a monthly report may show that project delivered decline. An executive productivity dashboard may reveal that focus time began decreasing several weeks earlier while meeting volumes increased. A report may show that overtime is rising. A productivity dashboard may reveal that one team is overloaded while another has available capacity. A software report may show that licenses were purchased. A productivity dashboard can show whether the platform is actually being used consistently enough to support the expected return. This is the difference between collecting information and creating intelligence. Outcome based metrics, leading indicators, cross functional capacity planning promotes governance and organizational trust. These are the tools needed for executive dashboards. So, executives do not need more reports, they need clearer answers. So, you may be wondering, what are some of the areas that will lead to this executive visibility? And we have four areas, which we'll call for today four pillars, where every executive productivity dashboard should include. The first is productivity analytics. Leaders need to understand whether meaningful work is increasing, declining, or remaining stable across individual teams and departments. The second is workload balance. Leaders should be able to identify whether employees are underutilized, operating sustainably, and consistently overloaded. The third is focus and collaboration. Organization needs teamwork and communication, but employees also require uninterrupted time to complete complex work. The fourth, performing performance trends. A single day provides limited insights. Trends reveal whether a pattern is temporary or becoming a large organizational issue. Together, these areas help leaders to move beyond asking, are people working? And begin asking, are we creating sustainable business performance? So, workload is one of those areas where leaders often make expensive decisions. Without complete visibility, Afnan will demonstrate how the solution helps identify capacity and workload patterns. So, as Afnan demonstrates this section, pay attention to how the dashboard distinguishes between underutilized, healthy utilization, and overutilization. Let's take us through the dashboard, Afnan.
All right, thank you, Kari. So now, as we can see, we are on the workload balance dashboard. So basically, one of the most strategic dashboard in active track. As leaders, one of our biggest responsibility isn't just making sure gets done, right? It's making sure work is distributed fairly across the team. When workloads become unbalanced, two risks appear. Some employees become overutilized, which these are who carry too much work for an extended period, increasing the risk of fatigue and burnout. Others become underutilized, meaning they have available capacity that isn't being used effectively, which can reduce engagement and leave valuable resources untapped. So let's see how we can fix that. Here we can see in terms of team level, we can select any time we would like to look at and then select any teams we all would like to check. And then there is how it's look like. We here can notice the active track focusing on the colors to reflect the each situation or cases. So we can see the overutilized user, healthy users, and underutilized users. And then it's going to show you the work habits, which help you, the metrics that help you to see which make these employee are underutilized, healthy, or overutilized. So can we, based on that, do some making some decisions? So it's reflect the average for start of the day, the average of end of the day, and then we can also see the breaks each day and minutes for each break, and then breaks by minutes each days. So here we can figure out about the patterns of the employee, if they are um, interruptions, if they are overutilized or underutilized based on how many uh, breaks, how long breaks they are taking. As well as here we can see also the weeks utilized level trend by weeks. So here we can show you if there is any healthier pattern come over, or they are, instead of that, overutilized. So can do some comparison and check what exactly it changed during this previous week and this week. And also for this last 7 days, it's going to show you by percentage how many employees are healthy, and then how many employees are overutilized or underutilized. If we are scrolling down here, we can see the employee who is overutilized and the employee who is underutilized. So here we can see some example. We have Keran, who is overutilized, and also will show you the threshold how to become overutilized. And definitely it's based on the company's standards. And then here we can notice in how productive hours for last week, she met, and then the breaks by minutes per day. So, and as we can see, there's no underutilized users, which is good. And then if we move on to the users, we can see it in terms of the individual levels. So here we can exactly see who is the employee are healthy and how much productivity hours they are met, and if they are need any assist, any guide, and also will show you exactly if they are have any days overutilized or underutilized, because before we saw the average for the last week, but here is going to show you how many days during this week, if they're any overutilized or underutilized. Let's see how it's look like. Here we can see the name of the employee, and then the time zone, and then we can see the utilization level, who is overutilized, healthy, or under, and then it's show you the underutilized threshold and the overutilized threshold, and how much the productivity hours employee made for last 7 days. So also it show you the breaks, the average for start, but it's more details. And then it's going to show you days, how many employees was overutilized. So here we can see we have during this week, 2 days was overutilized for Kitty, Afnan as well. So here we can see with more details, and the days they are healthy, and also the days if anyone underutilized. So these are more details to figure out in terms of the individual level. Now, if we shift to the capacity planning, here's we can notice if anyone to do more fair distributed for the teams. Just give it 1 second. Yeah, cut that. It takes too long time. All right, here we are. So here we can see the name, the productive hour, productive goal, and also the total productive for the period we are select here. And then we are a comparison that with the expected total productive in for this period. And then we are seeing the days worked, like the employee was active. And then we see the expected day worked. And you can, based on that, also do your planning. And after that, we see the user's capacity. And it's going to show you by percentage. And it's also will show you the stats. means if someone is over capacity, like here, means they are overutilized or they cannot handle more tasks or achieving more. At capacity means they are on like achieving the target, but they still have some. If anyone low or under the capacity means they have any ability to get more tasks or achieving more work. So that's pretty much is for the workload balance. As we can see, this dashboard helps manager understand workload from both perspectives, so they can make informed staffing and resource decision instead of relying on assumptions. So what is the goal here? The goal is to ensure that work is distributed fairly, employees have a sustainable workload, and the organization has the capacity to meet its business objectives. Back to you, Kerry.
All right, thank you so much, Afnan. And definitely, I totally agree with what this dashboard stands for, because a lot of what we see in organization is that higher performing employees tend to be the ones that are the safe person to receive another task, but not much accountability or visibility into how much they can be in terms of their utilization. They may be at capacity or overutilized, as mentioned, and that can cause for errors, burnouts, and even absences from work, and sometimes even high turnover from resignations. But on the other hand, the flip coin of it, underutilized employees may need clearer responsibilities, additional training, or better alignment with business priorities. So that dashboard tells you a whole lot as to where to navigate to ensure that your workforce is healthy. So when we talk about workload balance, we always have to bring it back to being healthy in terms of your workforce. So let's move over a bit into the analytics of things, because one of the most important distinctions in productivity management is the difference between activity tracking and productivity analytics. Activity tracking asks what someone did. Productivity analytics ask what patterns are influencing performance and what leadership should improve. Let's look at an example here. Seeing that an employee opened several applications tells us very little. Seeing that a team switches repeatedly between 10 systems to complete one process may reveal a significant workflow problem. Knowing that an employee attended 6 meetings is simply activity data. Seeing that focus time dropped by 3 hours and project delivery slowed provides decision intelligence. The objective is not to watch every action. The objective is to understand whether people, process, and technology are working together effectively. All right. So I do have a question here that I want to send out to the audience, and I want you to just jump in the chat real quick and let me know. Do you currently feel you have complete visibility into your organization's performance? And these are for our CEOs or leaders, HR managers. Do you think that you have visibility into your organization performance? Yes, mostly, somewhat, no. Okay, seeing some answers come across. Somewhat. So I see that there may be some gap or some gray areas. All right, so while you continue to fill that out, we just move on a little bit. But thank you for your answer so far. Whether you selected yes, mostly, somewhat, or no, the key question is whether your visibility helps you make faster decisions and better decisions. The goal isn't more reports, it's having the right insights at the right time. So, we've talked about workload balance, we've talked about insights in terms of where your productivity time is, but now I want to jump into collaboration. For this is a very essential part of every organization. Too much unstructured collaboration can become a productivity barrier. And as Afnan walks us through this dashboard, I want you to notice how the solution highlights focus time, collaboration patterns, meeting activities, interruption, and fragmented workdays. Afnan, go ahead.
All right, here we are. So now we are on the focus on collaboration. And as organizations grow, productivity is no longer determined by how hard people work. It's determined by how effectively they work. Today's employees constantly switch between meetings, emails, chat messages, projects, and unexpected interruptions. So the executive challenge is finding the right balance. Too little collaboration creates silos, too much collaboration reduces focus, and too many interruptions prevent meaningful work from getting done. Basically, this dashboard helps leaders understand whether the organization is creating an environment where employees can do their best work, and instead of like just simply measuring productive hours, it explains how those productive hours are being spent by analyzing three critical components, which is focused, collaboration, and multitask. Basically, I believe I mentioned that, but in the individual levels, in the personal insight, but this dashboard give us insight whenever we would like. We can select any date we would like to discover or explore, and then in terms of the team, and then we can this team overview come over. First, it's going to show you based on the period you are select the average for the teams. You are choose the teams or select all of them. It's based on what you would like to look at. And then we can see the screen time breakdown. It's going to first show you the productive hour per day. The average, which is here, can we see 7.2. So now we can know the productivity is high. But what is the most important here? To figure out how this time was breaking down in terms of the focus, collaboration, and multitask. Again, active track here also reflect each of these cases in specific colors to make it easier to fully understand. So focus here, which is a high time of productivity, allocate, and then we see the collaboration come over and multitask. Definitely the focus should be always taken the lead because it's the execution part of the work, and it's the time that provide a meaningful work. And then it's also show you by percentage and also the hours, how many employees are spend time on the any collaboration application or activities such as meetings, chat messages, application or website. And in terms of the multitasking cases where the employee are switching the context in a few just time between application or whatever. So all here we can see by percentage on by hours. And then we can also show in the progress against goal based definitely on the company standards. It's also going to be definitely customized with any organization. And then here we can see the productive, focus, and collaboration. And in the bottom, we can see the delta versus the goal based on the company definitely standard. If we scroll down here, we can see the screen time breakdown, which is definitely not the same. Screen time not reflect the productive time, two different things. So here we can see the screen time, the productive, and do some comparison because it's going to make some sense here, and also reflect the non-business time. Definitely we cannot see it because that's what we hope. There's no non-business time come over, which is any time that employees spend on unproductive, unnecessarily application or website during the work. Then here we can see that uninterrupted work sessions means any sessions was the employees focus, and the sessions was the employees productive by minutes, and also it's show you versus the goal as well. And if we look into the productivity breakdown trend, here we can see how it's changed by week, how many changing, and also we reflect by hours for the focus, collaboration, and multitask. So here you can see the process and workflow, how it's if it's improving or needs some changing. We scroll down here, we can see that any users not achieving goals in terms of productive hour, focus, and collaboration. And here we can do some any changing, designing the work based on what it's need. So at the end, I would like just to say tools like our productivity management solution, it transforms workforce data into business intelligence by helping leaders answer three critical questions. Are we operating efficiently? Are we investing our people in the right priorities? Can our organization sustain future growth? When it's executed When executive can answer those questions with data instead of assumptions, they make better strategic decisions, allocate resources more effectively, and reduce operational risk and build an organization that is both productive and resilient. So that's pretty much it for the live demo. Back to you, Carrie.
Thank you so much, Afnan. That was truly insightful and right on target. So, as you know, that these show where direct business impact happens. So, are the decisions being delayed? Are projects moving more slower? And then, can we make strategic work to push more into an effective workflow? So, we're eliminating unnecessary collaboration or unnecessary areas that impact the business and work onto focusing for meaningful work. So we have the data, we have the information into how to spot those trends. But what about future? What about seeing around the corner? So, strong executive visibility does more than explain what already happened. It helps leaders to identify emerging risk. A gradual increase in meeting volumes may appear harmless today. However, if focus time continues to decline, project delays may follow. A consistently overloaded employee may seem to produce strong results, but that pattern may later lead to burnout or losing that employee altogether. Low use of newly purchased platforms may indicate that an employee needs training. That the time that the tool overlaps with another system or it does not fit with the actual workflow. These are leading indicators. They allow leadership to act before the issue becomes expensive. The strongest organization do not simply explain last month's problem, they identify the conditions that may create next month's problem. So, how do we move from insights to action? Data only creates value when it leads to action. A dashboard may show that one team is overloaded. Leadership can then redistribute the work to review the underlying workflow. It may show that focus is declining. Management can reduce unnecessary meetings to create protected periods of high value work. So, this is what we need into turning insights into action. The process must be straightforward. Dashboards should identify the trends. Leadership should investigate the cause, and organizations should take action based on the measured results. Without action, dashboards become decoration. Yes. So this is where your coaching comes into play, using these insights to coach individuals on how they should operate and how they should effectively pivot when there is friction. So with action, they become practical tools for improving performance and profitability. So what are the next steps? At Blue Qubit Consulting, we help organizations move from data collection to measurable improvement through 4 stages. First, we establish visibility. We examine productivity patterns, workload distribution, focus time collaboration, technology usage, and performance trend. Then we interpret the information within the context of each role, team, and business objective. The same activity can mean something different depending on the employee's responsibility. Third, we identify practical actions. These may include rebalancing workloads, reducing unnecessary meetings, improving technology adaptation, protecting focus time, and simplifying workflows, or providing that targeted coaching. And the final step is we establish governance. Leaders receive clear measures showing whether those changes are producing results. So, if you think that you would like to hear a little bit more about how we can help your organization and how our productivity management solution can give your organization the intelligence, the approach that needs to that leads to practical business improvement, go ahead and scan the QR code to schedule a one-on-one personal consultation. And while you go ahead and scan, I just want to pose to you, does anybody have any questions, any concerns? You can drop it in the chat, open up your mic, and I'll be more than happy to answer at this time. Just going to give you another minute to scan those codes. All right, so I'm not seeing any questions come over. So I assume that everything's all clear, but if anything and you would like to have that one-on-one conversation, you can go ahead and let me know. I'll also drop the link in the chat for you to go ahead and click and sign up for that one-on-one consultation. So as we close, I would like to leave you with one final thought. The organizations that outperform competitors are not always collecting more data. They are making better decisions because they have visibility into what truly matters. An executive productivity dashboard should lead or help leaders understand productivity, workload, focus, collaboration, technology usage, and performance trends. If today's session has highlighted visibility gaps within your organization, we would be happy to help you take the next step. Thank you for joining us today, and a special thanks to Afnan for her demonstration today. We look forward to seeing you next week for week 4 of the Great Productivity Experiment, where we will explore how small operational changes can produce measurable improvements into business performance. You can scan the QR code on the screen to register for that next webinar, as the flyer is on the screen right now. Thank you so much for coming out, and do have a productive day. Bye.